everyone. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers Session 16. Of course, this is the podcast where we discuss the latest fun and also sometimes news and occasionally even drop in some knowledge. Don't forget that this is a 4 a.m. Conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too serious and let's just dive in and enjoy the content. And with a special announcement today, Matej is out sick. He was last reported at a Santa Monica beach this weekend having a party. So take with that what you will. I mean, for all we know, he could be advising on the latest EA merger. I have no idea. All we know is he couldn't make it this week. So it's just me and Remo. But that means 2 times more fun, right? Because it's just the two of us. Hey, Remo, how are you?
How are you? Good. Yeah, I hope it's like something normal, not like the next pandemic that's roaring.
Man, he needs to have like COVID 2 times to catch up with me before, catching up with the curve. So, unless it's monkeypox, he'll be fine.
I've been hearing so much stuff about this new thing lately.
Yeah, man, it's a big fat nothing burger. We have a vaccine against it, and most people are that were born in the 80s are vaccinated against it. So don't be too worried.
Glad I'm not born in the 80s.
But we can get it anyway.
How was your week?
Super good. I've been around. I was in Nordic game last week. It was good. Catching up with old friends. Best part was watching Sweden beat Finland at hockey with a bunch of Finnish people. So good. I don't even care about hockey, but it's okay.
Slovakia, I think, is in the Helsinki group, so we don't have Sweden or Finland there. But yeah, we'll see if we get out of into the playoffs.
Right. So, we today have a very good episode for you guys. We have a couple of news. We're going to be starting off with EA. It sought acquisition from Disney, Apple, Amazon. We're going to be talking a bit about that. Remo has a story that he's very excited about that I quite frankly don't understand yet, but it's going to be interesting. Ubisoft wants €60 per share for a potential sale. We're going to talk about the implications of that. The slowing growth of Tencent and TikTok's rumored in-app games being released this year. And then after that, for our little knowledge section of this podcast, I will be giving up 7, potentially 8 if we have time, of my best learned ad monetization secrets relating from everything about ad placements to how different networks, how you can use them to essentially earn more ad ARPDAU.
I can already see the ad companies hate him. Figure out now.
Yeah. Matej is usually the one that names these, and he does a very good job at being very provocative. We miss him dearly today. So, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, let's dive into the news. As usual, there are big acquisition rumors on the blog. Currently, the latest one is Electronic Arts, which, according to the latest rumors, sold to be acquired from either Disney, Apple, Amazon, and NBC. We'll be talking about this I think, from a long time, from the big spree of acquisition that started in early this year, namely with Zynga and then Activision Blizzard. Keep in mind that already bigger fish has been caught this year, with Activision Blizzard being acquired by Microsoft. So EA would be like a logical choice in this kind of a lineup of really big companies to be acquired. And currently, according to the latest rumors, it seems that the discussion is the furthest with NBC Universal, which are some sources that confirm that, like whoever kind of, that's the rumor on the street. And yeah, some big out of the gaming business companies are talking there, such as Disney, Amazon, and Apple, which I think I have been saying for like a long time that Amazon, I think, will be the one that will do this. Did I?
I'm just like, man, there's a lot of gaming companies that have NBC IP currently because they have a big portfolio. I would be very nervous if I was an IP holder right now, if NBC actually buys them.
Like for me, it seems like Amazon would be the biggest fit for me because they have been trying to get into the gaming business for a long time. They have failed a lot already, like their studios and stuff like that. And they're still trying to get there. I would say this could solve a lot of their problems because they're pretty much buying a full-fledged like top 10 gaming company here. But even Disney could be interesting with all the IP. EA has a lot of experience with building games for IPs, so I guess that could be also a good fit there.
Yeah, I guess you also got to factor in with these big mega mergers that, like, you know, the EA CEO probably also wants to remain CEO, so it makes more sense from him for like approaching him more like merger of equals type of thing compared to being swallowed up by Amazon where you'll never be CEO.
By the way, it's interesting that today's the date that coincides with this news, which is that today is the completion of the Zynga acquisition by Take-Two.
Ooh,
today is the day.
Today is the day.
Yeah, 23rd of May.
I haven't read anything about it, but let's see if it actually goes through. Does that mean regulators can still squash it after this, or no?
I don't think so. Like, I think the Activision Blizzard deal is still up for grabs in a way for regulators, but I think this one goes through.
Man, that's, in terms of timing, well done. Like, markets crashed, everything's on fire. Well done.
Yeah. Really, kudos to Zynga, guys.
Yeah. So, Disney, Apple, Amazon, NBC. Everyone would be so angry if it was Apple that bought it. Oof.
I don't think so. It will be Apple.
No, I don't think so either. Too many people to upset.
Amazon, Disney, or NBC. I think Amazon's still my biggest bet here. Like, would be logical. Don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's continue. This is
your
really
famous. This is your famous story that I removed from the docket, and you were like, "No."
This is really important because this, I think, is this kind of a canary in the coal mine that we'll see what will happen and how people will look at these other like studios that are spin-off against from Blizzard. Because this week it was announced that Marvel Snap, a digital CCG from Studio Second Dinner, which is headed by Ben Brode, which is the former head of Hearthstone, which was pretty much the face of the whole community there. And I guess this will determine how these kind of let's say premium studios that are trying to go into the free-to-play are faring. Because if I remember, Hearthstone is still a free-to-play game, but in the end, these people have most of the experience that they have are from building premium games for Blizzard. So there's a lot of studios currently on the block, especially in the Dreamhaven company set up by ex-Blizzard CEO Mike Morhaime. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. The game looks super interesting. The design's super, super streamlined. You don't have even like a turns there. So you play simultaneously, you and your opponent. It seems to me the game resembles more Gwent than Hearthstone, the Witcher card game, which is kind of a different because Hearthstone is a derivative of Magic the Gathering, where you have your usual energy that you need to spend for cards, and then you wait for your opponent's turn, and so on, so on. And with Gwent, it's a little bit different. It's more of a, let's say, territorial thing where you need to just play your cards to have as big of a number on the location in order to beat your opponent at the end of the whole game. So it's more close to something like poker, to be honest. So yeah, and they're saying that the sessions
social
should
casino?
be
Kind of social casino-ish?
No.
No.
It's a card game, man. TCG.
All right.
But in the end, I'm really curious how this will go because you have a really, really big prominent IP, which is the Marvel IP. Like they have a lineup of 150 cards, which are completely different from the Marvel universe. So that's one thing. And the other thing is it's even portrait mode. So it seems to be like built for mobile from the ground up, even though they said they're going to have a PC version. But yeah, I will be looking really, really close how this game will kind of go forward. Like if I understand correctly, NetEase is one of the biggest investors behind these guys.
So how much do you think this game is going to make its first year? 100 mil?
Don't know. Like to be honest, when I was looking into you can actually check the gameplay video that Ben Brode did. Like they have a normal trailer, of course, some kind of a commented one, but they have like actual gameplay video that he put out for like 30 minutes long. The game seems kind of super complex to me, to be honest, because
Hearthstone is so easy?
Hearthstone is kind of easy, to be honest, because you just mash up cards against. It's like a dumbed down version of Magic the Gathering. This seems kind of
Comparing to
super.
most hyper casual out there, it's quite complicated, mate.
Yeah,
You
but
got to look at everything on a curve.
if you compare it just to Hearthstone,
Yeah.
So based on Hearthstone, this for me is like 2 Hearthstones, because everything is kind of every card has some kind of a custom ability. You don't have those kind of a meaty cards that you just put there as a token to kind of hold something. So yeah, I don't know how this, but it's really interesting. Like, it's definitely an evolution of TCG genre. Like, I have to give the team that they worked their ass off to kind of streamline this into this experience. But don't know if even the art is kind of comic-like, which I don't know if they won't break their CPI. That's like one of the other problems that I have with this. If the art won't break their CPI, because it's super comic-y, and you don't have that kind of a Supercell feeling that you get even from Hearthstone a little bit.
Man, I would love to ask Matej right now, like, how would you launch this game if, fingerprinting ends? Like, because, it's still a very specific audience on iOS that likes that kind of stuff.
Don't know. And the monetization seems very light, just from the small video
They need
had.
ads, but probably not, right?
They won't have ads with Marvel
No.
IP.
Nope.
We'll see, but we keep a close eye on this one because it will be really interesting. I want to play this on one hand, but on the other hand, I want to see the performance, like how this will fare.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to keeping an eye on it. Let's see. Moving on to a very short story, since we covered it quite well last week, but I guess it's kind of a good signal that, the market crash is also hitting gaming. Ubisoft, and then that news is that Ubisoft holders, they want 60 euros per share for a potential sale. So right now, Ubisoft are allegedly hearing pitches from external parties. I'm assuming it must be a lot of private equity and other big gaming companies. And the numbers they are looking for, according to Seeking Alpha, is that they want to have at least 60 to 70 euros for any deal before it's accepted. Current trading market cap or market price for a share is 48 euro per share. Do you think it's worth that much?
In current state?
Yeah.
Mobile
division that has kind of like,
yeah, then
what they've been up to.
Crypto division, we don't need to talk about that one. And the pipeline is slow. That's the problem. I think, guys at DOF did like a good rundown of the comparison between the revenue and the number of employees, and like it was like I think 3 times on average than what EA had, or something like that. And you need to keep in mind that this company is based in French, with French laws, like French work laws. So it works a little bit different here in Europe. So yeah, I don't know if they can turn it like that, because they need some kind of a roaring success currently, and they don't have it on their hands. Like, the pipeline is super slow there, if I understood correctly.
How has do you know on top of your head, like, how have the Assassin's Creed sales been going? Because, that's like a churn and burn title that comes out once a year. But I'm assuming sales there have been must have been either slowing down or decreasing, right?
Actually, they're managed, I think, pretty well with the live opsing of Assassin's Creed a little bit. They added like a lot of DLC and stuff into it, so I think that's going pretty good. But don't know if I don't know the overall like revenue pie of the company, like how much money is brought by Assassin's Creed, how much money is brought by Far Cry, and all these other IPs that they have. But I would guess Assassin's Creed would be majority. Think so. Don't know this. But yeah, I don't think so. They can make that much. 70 definitely not. If the price is currently 48.
Sounds a bit rich in this climate.
Yeah.
So, more interesting news though. Should we move on?
Yep.
So, Tencent has reported its slowest revenue growth on record, and cited China's ongoing tech regulatory crackdown in its subsequent earnings call. So, revenue for Q1 2022 was 135.5 billion won, which was just a marginal increase from a year ago, where the revenue was 135.3 billion won. So the profit has increased marginally, and the Tencent's gaming business fell around 20% to 10.6 billion won, which the company attributed to disappointing revenue from titles including PUBG Mobile. And this is despite seeing that considerable success from Krafton, and it was not, Tencent is Krafton's second largest shareholder, so it wasn't enough to turn the tide. Remo, what do you think this has for effect, like second order effect for all the companies that Tencent owns?
First thing I want to say is that I remember we were reading that PUBG Mobile is pretty much leading the charts in worldwide spending. And then you hear that, oh, we're not that really happy. So, yeah, I guess this is more of a geopolitical fundament here, where China is really heavily cracking down on the overall tech sector, and gaming sector is just part of it. And you can see it all in the repercussions they're putting on gaming playtime and stuff like that. I think it was just last month where the world kind of cheered up when they actually unfroze again the ID list for games that are being released into China market. So that's also this kind of big unpredictability that you need to count with, that suddenly government just comes in and says, okay, we won't let any new games to be released in next 6 months, and so what? So yeah, Tencent, if I understand correctly, is gaming is the biggest revenue. Gaming isn't the biggest revenue part of the whole company. It's more of a telecommunication one. Overall, I mean Tencent.
All I know is it's got its finger in a lot of pies.
Yeah, it has all the the Chinese version of all the Facebook, eBay, and everything in the WeChat app. That is pretty much, if I understood correctly, in nearly every Chinese phone. So yeah, we'll see. But I would say they're super big in a way that they can still diversify in buying companies around the world, which they are actively still doing. That's great for them. So I'm guessing the trend that was done last year, when a lot of Chinese companies, gaming Chinese companies, went out of business and people were trying to move capital out of China into gaming, is continuing, even though they still have some kind of big hits, such as, let's say, Genshin getting on their feet out of nothing pretty much. So yeah, but it will be harder and harder.
Man, one thing I've learned from my professional career is that shit flows one way and it's not up. All these companies that Tencent have bought, right now, Tencent still has a fiduciary duty to increase share price. All these people are going to get sweated. Everything from, Krafton to Supercell. They're going to be sweated to increase their revenue in one way or another. And I'm just wondering, part of me is I wonder if this is going to be the straw that finally gets ads inside of Supercell.
I think they forced them to make their shit together already last year, because Supercell added a lot of live ops capability, I think.
That's true.
After 5 years of decline, I think Tencent was screaming this at them. So I would guess so. But I still don't think so. You're going to see Clash of Clans or Clash Royale ads that soon.
Maybe in 2 years, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I would still say that Chinese market is super strong in a way, that it's kind of impenetrable from the West, and it kind of lives its own beast. But this is the double-edged sword that, you're the king of your own playground, but actually you have an emperor on your playground, which is called Chinese government.
Yeah, true. Something to always keep in mind.
Okay. Moving on. Oh,
still in China, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, still in China, and this one's pretty interesting because I think this was tried 3 times already. So why not again? So TikTok said that he wants to release in-app games this year.
TikTok is not a he.
Oh, sorry. TikTok wants to it. Of course, the ByteDance owner has to confirm this yet. But the same sources claim that it will start with some kind of a mini games that has ambition to exceed into kind of a more long-term games. Users are already able to watch streams of games in TikTok, but they're largely unplayable within the app. Sounds to me like another Facebook HTML5 game kind of a saga. It's unfolding here. Yeah, I don't think so. This will be good. It screams to me like, we had what? We had Apple Arcade, We don't even need to talk about that one. We have the Netflix games thing. I, again, don't want to talk about that one. We have the Facebook HTML games. Again, don't want to talk about that one. And now this screams to me that's the same thing all over the place. Don't know if there's something I'm missing in China market that can be engaging for users.
TikTok is not in China. It was called Douyin, like the TikTok version. So this is the international version.
Oh, you mean like...
It's called something different in China. It's called Douyin, or I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, but would it matter in a way?
I think so. I mean, I agree with you. Like, this is going to be a flop. Like Facebook gaming was. Like, you've heard nothing about it, and I'm assuming the closest thing that's similar to is Facebook gaming.
If I understand, it was also Snap that wanted to try this, or some other kind of social media network company.
Sure, Snap tried it as well, but I haven't heard that much about it.
Yeah,
Instagram. Look of surprise on my face.
Instagram doesn't have games, if I get that right. Yeah, not yet. They already tried, because I was there, by the way, at this Facebook HTML5 inception of games, and it was horrible. It's like super horrible because the whole thing kind of sprung out of nothing. The users weren't directed anywhere. The whole thing was about you releasing as much new shit games as possible, because the algorithm would only put you there if you put you up there into the list if you're a new game, because there was no store. Discoverability was like one of the biggest problems, and then suddenly the whole store just exploded with shitty experiences. So yeah, don't know about this one. I still would say, if this is out of your core competency, either hire like some kind of go by EA. That could help you.
Yeah, man. I think this is going to be one of those things that just bounces around. You don't hear that much about. A big fanfare when it launches, and then it's just going to be slowly but surely choked to death, exactly like Facebook gaming.
Yeah. Except that during this choke to death, few of the studios that will hop onto this as their main kind of source of revenue will go together with this.
Yeah.
If you've built a mobile game for iOS or Android, you've experienced user churn. You can win those users back, but it's getting more and more expensive, even more so to acquire totally new users. Enter cross-promotion with Addictive. By identifying your users likely to churn early, you can showcase another game in your portfolio before they leave forever, transforming a lost user into a new user, increasing your revenues. Learn more now at addictive.com.
So, any other news stories that you would like to discuss, Remiar?
I don't know. I think we're kind of good. Like lots of mergers and acquisitions still up for grabs.
M&A.
Yeah, all the way.
Right. So, that leaves to us to move forward a bit to our educational section for this week, which is actually focused on my favorite topic, ad monetization. So I actually wanted to share a couple of tricks. So the basic function of you as an Admon person and how to do your job well is to know as much as possible about as many networks as possible. This kind of just gives you an edge to make more ad revenue and to increase your ad ARPDAU. So here I'm going to share kind of 4 general things and then 3 network-specific learnings that I've learned in a variety of ways, partly from being angry, making mistakes, and at 4 a.m. at a conference bar. So, like I said, I'll start with some general ones and then move on to the specific ones. So, Rima, I really want to hear your input on this as a game designer because it'll be fun for you to hear this.
Of course.
So, the big caveat that you need to know is whenever you deal with an ad network, everything is a negotiation and everything can be negotiated. Like, that's the most important thing to know. Everything. And the bar that you need to hit to actually be able to get to this position where you can negotiate everything, it's not like 100K a day, it's not 20K a day. You hit it the second that you get assigned an AM with an ad network. And as soon as you have a person to speak with at an ad network, you're able to negotiate and negotiate everything. So what does that mean? Sure, it's harder to negotiate things with a Facebook, AppLovin, or Google, but it's still possible because I have done it. And even though you might not be earning that much revenue with those platforms, as long as you have a person, you have a fighting chance.
Yeah, let me just stop you there right now, just
Yeah.
to frame it somehow. Usually, most gaming companies don't have a negotiating person doing their ads. Usually, it's someone at the team that is the one responsible to do the SDK implementation and like setting up the waterfall, and it's just bogs down to some kind of a programmer or like product person.
Exactly.
Better it's a product person, of course, and then comes all the calls with third-party, mediation networks. And that's the biggest problem, that when you're used to work with developers, graphic people, and you're a product person, you're not really used to do this negotiation mambo jumbo.
But Remo, it's not negotiate. This is not negotiation. It's just like getting your way. It's kind of negotiation. But so if you get complaints, like the first example I'm going to go through. So you get a lot of user complaints, like, an RV, like a rewarded ad, is 30 seconds. But a lot lately, like a lot of networks have been adding end cards to these 30-second videos, which makes the whole ad maybe 35 to 45 seconds. Your users complain a lot about it, and basically, like, what do you do then? Like, who do you reach out to complain about that with the networks?
So first you go to your community manager or QA lead, and then pretty much you want to support them first, because community people are eating them alive when they're getting the feedback from Discord or anywhere from the channels, because players will notice this and they will eat you alive. So that's the first thing you solve. And then, of course, you need to go to the third party and kind of do something with it.
Right. So this is a little sneaky trick that I've noticed ad networks do lately. So without telling you, they usually add end cards to rewarded videos in particular that basically make ads sometimes 35 to 45 seconds. So you get a lot of complaints with this, and what you should do first is to see if all your ad networks in your game are doing the same end cards. 90% of cases is one or two like networks that do the end cards, and they do it gradually. They don't randomly hit on like a 45 or like a 15-second ad end card. They do it gradually until you start hearing complaints. So what you do is, usually when you reach out to the network, when you first do this, they say like, oh yeah, of course we can remove that, but it will really impact performance. Not true. Every time I've actually removed these end cards, I see absolutely no change on performance. Sure, maybe their CTR might go down a bit because, it's a shorter ad experience. But here is the killer line that you need to use. Learn this line and repeat it. I understand the performance risks, but I need parity with all my networks in my game. Please remove the end cards ASAP. I guarantee you that will work 100% of the time, because the parity part sounds like you really know your shit with Admon, so you won't get questions.
Is this really like kind of a paper thread that you need to deflect with this spell?
No, but it's just you get taken more seriously if you use the kind of ad network terminology, right? It's just like if you work in finance, you talk finance mumbo jumbo, right?
Yeah, but if you work in product or game design, you don't talk like that.
I mean, everyone can say parity to get rid of an end card, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. And so if I get it right, you're pretty much trying to convince them that, if they don't do it, you remove them?
No, it doesn't usually have to go that far. It's just, I mean, if they don't, like, you can be like, guys, we're removing you. Like, no one else has an end card as long as you guys. But I guarantee if you say that line, then you won't have any issue.
Okay.
Which also brings us on to the next one. So, a classic trick that networks do, which is really frustrating to your users, is that it's sometimes really hard to close mobile ads. Like, everyone has experienced this, including you, Remo. I mean, I know you don't click on ads, but yeah.
I need to click on ads.
Right. So, usually what it is it's not a broken ad. Like, very rarely do you actually get ads that are broken, because, these companies' bread and butter is built on having ads that work. So what it is that ad networks sometimes, when bringing out new ad formats, or sometimes if something is looking good, or they want to make it look better, they make the clickable area, that is to say the X, the clickable area, small. So basically, I've actually had discussions with ad networks where basically I'm like, something looks broken. Can you please have a look and fix it? And they're like, oh, we actually reduced the clickable area on the X. Let me see if I can increase it again.
To like 1 pixel.
Exactly. That's something that happens sometimes. So usually, like, yeah, so basically how to get out of the situation is like you can find out which network it is by looking at the screenshots of like the annoying ads when you get complaints. Again, here's a line that really works quite well that I use. Use it and repeat it. We're getting a lot of complaints that your ads are not closely. Can you kindly review the clickable area on your X button and enlarge it, please? You're the only network that are getting complaints about this, and we need this fixed ASAP.
By the way,
Clickable area.
yeah, like I've seen it many times that, do I get it right or I remember it correctly, that like the first thing they try is they kind of move it to different parts of the screen. So it goes from like top right to top left or bottom left or somewhere there. And then if I get it, like even if you click the X, you get directed to the store or somehow like the area, like, you know, the closing area gets smaller, but the hitbox area of you clicking on the store gets super wide.
Yeah, of course. It's the Wild West. There's no police monitoring this. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And
All right.
just to clarify, it's the company that's like the ad mediation company or the company that's
Could
actually.
be. I mean, most mediations have their own network, right? So like, this could be AppLovin doing it. This could be IronSource doing it. This could be Vungle doing it. This could be like Unity doing it. Like I've had this discussion with, I think, every company except Google and Facebook.
Okay.
So it's quite normal. Like at least once a year. It's like, yeah, like Christmas. Right. The last one is probably like one that turns up the most with one network. That is that audio turns on automatically even though the phone is muted. So ad companies usually do this because it improves conversions quite a lot because, you know, it catches someone's attention when you're muted and suddenly the volume comes on. Super annoying. Some networks are known to do this more than others. Vungle. And and basically this is super annoying. Like you don't even need a line for this. Like this is unacceptable. As soon as you notice this, like get it out of your game as quickly as possible. It's completely not allowed. Sometimes it's broken, sometimes it's done on a like purpose. But basically just get it out of your game as soon as possible because it doesn't really do you any good on the review front.
Is this even physically possible if you don't kind of accept some kind of permission on the ads, or
yeah, sometimes like when you start working with some ad networks, like that button to like automatically unmute ads is not ticked, and that's all it is. So then like basically they kind of hope that most people won't tick it, and then you just have to go in and do it. And like, oh, we didn't know. You know, you can just go in here in settings and tick it, and you're like, yeah, page 8.
Yeah, sure. So that's how they get the permission. Okay.
So now we're kind of just starting with kind of, you know, these are the main ones, like not that sexy ones. But let's move on to the network specific things that I found out, which are a bit more like sexy. Actually, no, I have one more actually. We should do this one. Okay, placement price points. This is also one thing. Like IronSource limits you, I think, to $100 per placement. Admob, $1,000 per placement. Vungle, $100 per placement. All this is up for negotiation. Reach out to your AM and say, hey, we've had really good performance on the top placement on whatever the value is. Kindly, can you make a higher placement value on the back end? Facebook does this. Google does this. Facebook when they're still doing placements. Google still does this. You can reach out and they make like $2,000 placements on the back end. IronSource definitely does it, and Vungle can even increase the value on your dashboard if you just ask for it to go higher. So that's one of the things that you should never like take no for. Like easily, they'd be happy to do it because if you actually fill at that high level, they'll earn more money.
Yeah, I've seen this real life when I was doing the mediation on one game, and it's pretty much like on any mid-core game where the traffic is really valuable. Like this is your first thing to do there, basically.
Yeah.
So really recommend that.
Yeah. So let's move on now with enough teasing to the specific network tips. So the first one, the mighty Vungle, or Vungle liftoff as they're called now. If you are using the Vungle Bidder and your average ECPM in your waterfall is higher than $26, you should right now, this week, move to Vungle Placements. Do you know why, Remo?
No.
The Vungle Bidder currently doesn't bid above $26. And that's something I just had to ask and find out because we're doing a lot of extensive testing on one of the games. And I was like, why am I getting lower ECPM from Vungle on the bidder than I was on placements? And they were like, oh, it's actually not yet configured to go higher than a $26 price point. I know it's configured still roughly around this area. I don't know really where, but that means that they're probably working on making the bidder work. It's a lot of hard work to do it, but that means right now that if you have a higher average in your waterfalls, you're probably losing money by having Vungle on bidding, and you should move to placements until they fix that, which could be 1 month to 12 months. I don't know how long that will take.
I really, really love this one. It's the usual, like, why didn't you tell me? Like, you never asked.
They're never going to tell you this. Absolutely never. Like, I literally had to drag it out, but now I know, and now I'm better for it. So yeah, happy to share the knowledge.
Yeah.
Next one, Unity. The mighty, mighty Unity. So, Unity. Everyone in Admon talks about latency on the mediation side. But Unity is actually one of the only networks where you can actually get latency on the Unity side of the Unity dashboard as well. So, how does that work? So, if you have too many places created on Unity that you're not using, essentially how the Unity bidder in their dashboard works, or in their backend works, is that it goes through every placement that you've made. So if you think back how the Unity dashboard looks, it's basically set up that you have your placements with your different price floors, and then at the bottom you have your archives list. They put a limit on how many of these you can make, sometimes 25. If you ask them to remove that, they can make it 100, 200 quite easily. But if you have an Admon person, it's quite quick that you actually get over, 100 placements because you're doing A/B tests. So how the bidder at the Unity side works, it goes through every placement, even though it might not be actually getting any requests, which means that the bidder gets latency on the Unity side. So what you can do to mitigate around this is that you ask your Unity AM to remove placements that haven't seen a bid for about 30 days. But it's something that actually cost me quite a lot of money once, and I was getting a lot of latency and shit Unity performance, and I had 200 placements. I was up on the limit, and then the Unity AM was like, oh, there's latency on our side. Let's remove it. I'm like, why haven't you told me this?
You never asked.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm telling everyone. These small little things, huh? Then, the last one, which is probably the biggest one, and the biggest double-edged sword, which I actually haven't used yet because it's high risk but extremely high reward. And that is Admob. Admob's bidder is built in this very, very interesting way that the first day when you put in placements, to get more information on the game and the traffic that they're seeing from this placement, what they do is they artificially ramp up traffic to those new placements for 3 days to see exactly how it works. And this ramping up of the placement is quite substantial. If maybe you're used to getting $1,000 from Admob, from one placement a day, you can actually see that this increases sometimes to $1,800, $2,000 for 3 days when you add a new placement. And then after that, it goes back to lower levels that are kind of in line with their normal algorithm. I've heard of gaming companies that switch Admob placements every 3 days to take advantage of this. So they take the most junior employee and they switch up all their Admob placements for 3 days. And they do that until Admob reaches out and says, hey, what the hell are you doing? So sometimes that's 2 weeks. Sometimes that is like 3 months. But the important thing to know here is that like it's against their policy. But if you do it until basically they reach out and say, like, and don't catch you, it's basically fine. So personally, like if you have anything like a crunch time, if you have numbers that need to look a lot better for something, this is like the first hot wiring trick of the mediation world that you can actually do that has remarkable impact. High risk, high reward though. I gotta warn you guys.
That's really interesting. But yeah, it seems like it's because of the nature of the algorithm, yeah.
Yeah, nature of the algorithm. Like, yeah. I might have heard this 4 a.m. at a conference, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't make sense for some kind of a bigger companies to do this all the time, especially when their ad revenue is so big.
Yeah. So, last but not least, here's a little game design one for you, Remo.
Mm-hmm.
Always, when there's a holiday, change your rewarded icons to like show kind of a theme during holidays because you get a higher click-through rate. Always. So if it's Halloween, you replace your like rewarded button with something that's Halloween themed. If it's Christmas, you replace your rewarded button, the icon where you click for the rewarded button, with something that is basically themed to Christmas. When we've done this, I've always seen like somewhere around like a 12% increase in impressions from that placement. And it's something that, takes next to no time to design and that always has impact. It usually only works for about like 1 or 2 weeks and then people kind of get used to it. But I think it's just because people see something new and want to see if it does anything different.
Okay. Did you see any increase on overall conversion or just impression?
I don't see conversions. Like, you mean ad conversions, or do you mean conversions?
Yeah, like how much percentage of DAU watches ads? Yeah,
that takes a bump as well a bit. Yeah, but like I look everything at a base level, like impressions and how much they increase.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess it's based on the theory that like you see something new, and just because it's new, you want to interact with it.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, I think it's time to finish.
Yeah, I think we're run out of a lot of stuff. Like I would say, I have this kind of a famous quote from Pad of Exile, which always is that wisdom is the offspring of suffering and time. And this applies perfectly to the ad mediation experience that I had.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have Matej on LinkedIn, maybe reach out to him. Say, hope you're doing better. If he's sick. If he's working on the EA deal, say congratulations. Although I do think he's sick.
Maybe he's sick because of the EA deal.
Yeah, exactly. Until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.